Hi everyone, so today is Wednesday and I am just giving you guys a little bit of an update on what's going on with me. So my place was flooded, which is okay. It's something that I expected would happen. So in the near future, you may be hearing a lot of construction noises downstairs and what have you. So just catching you guys up on that. As far as donations go for those who are in worse conditions than I really feel like the United States does a really good job at coming forward in times of need and helping where things need to be done to make things more comfortable for people. So I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. I haven't done anything yet because I've been kind of dealing with what's going on with me. But I have been thinking about it. I was thinking about donating to the humane societies or some sort of animal rescue that might have an influx of animals. I was thinking I really enjoy organizations like Mercy Chefs, but I am really against outright political people who are politically affiliated or like get involved in something that has anything to do with politics instead of world disasters, like natural disasters. And I'm also against people who photograph and publicize people who are accepting of these donations. I don't like that. I don't think that it's necessary, and I refuse to participate in that. I don't encourage that, so I don't donate to those. So if you have any organizations that are not outright politically affiliated and they don't take photos or videos of those in need or those accepting, and they don't even really have to be, you don't really have to say it that way, but whatever, you get my point. Go ahead and get on Twitter and send me their information, and I would be more than happy to look into it and contribute in any way that I can. So just full transparency there in case you're interested in what's going on. So as far as October goes, it feels like it's a really active month. So if you watch the video that was posted earlier today, it's just this random video that I recorded pre-recorded, and I was talking about Madeleine McCann, and I was talking about Spain. And I looked up, after I recorded the video, I looked up the flag of Spain, and it is red and yellow. So I'm kind of more confident in the fact that that's what my guardian angels were trying to tell me, is something to do with Spain, and maybe just like that side of the world too, like Europe. Maybe it has something to do with like those areas, not necessarily Africa, but maybe like the west side of Africa, like I said in the video. And then specifically, like I said, the Pacific, something about the Pacific, because the fact that I didn't cross the Atlantic in my mind, I didn't go across the Atlantic. I went, like, I circumnavigated the other way around. And what's interesting to me is the way that I see the world is like a donut. I'm not sure the specific terminology for that. Like the geographic term or the geometric term for that, but it looks like a donut to me, and it's just really being highlighted to me of how I perceive the world in the donut shape, because there's some sort of emphasis that's happening where they're like, my guardian angels are showing me how they're basically saying, like, you know how the world's round? Like, how we see is, like, the globe, right? Like, it's round. And so, like, the inner core of the earth is, like, beneath earth. But if you look at it as a donut, then you can see it in two different ways. The inner core of the donut, or you can look at it as, like, you can kind of go, like, around it, like, on the outside. You get what I'm saying? I guess I should have drew this out. But they're emphasizing it because they're saying how the way that I perceive it, or, like, the way that we perceive the world, and how I, in my mind, like, I navigated around the world like that, that's still going, like, on the outside of the donut, right? And then if you think about, like, going above the donut and on the inner side of the donut without going, like, into the dough, we'll say it like that, like, instead of going inside the dough, you're still on the outside of the donut, but you're on a different part of the donut. And so the reason why they're highlighting this for me is, like, some things, it's almost as if some sort of event in October is going to happen. I heard cataclysmic event, but it doesn't feel cataclysmic. But the reality is that it is. It's like this really big event. It feels like it's coming from outer space. Like, it feels like, you know, like how, like, with astrology, I don't know what the astrology is, what's going on right now in the world, or beyond the world, I guess, in the stars, like the planetary alignments, but there's something that's affecting the earth if we were to look at it as if it were a donut. So basically saying that there's a lot of uncharted territory of the earth that the majority of us aren't aware of. It's like this whole other world that exists on earth. But so they're bringing me to Columbus, right? Christopher Columbus, and Columbus Day is coming up here in the States pretty soon. Well, Columbus was one of the last men, or whatever you want to call him, conquerors or whatever, navigator, what is he? Anyway, who found the New World. There were many people who were arriving here, and people who already existed here, right? And when he arrived here, he didn't even know where he was. He thought that he was in India or the West Indies or somewhere like that, right? So that's how I'm seeing this other part of the world, is like, we only know what we're being told, and yet there's another way to navigate the world, that's not, like, underground. Like, there's underground worlds, but there's also another part of Earth, like a relatively uncharted, for the masses, of this other area. It's like another new world, right? Like like America, that's what I'm saying. Like the old world, new world is like another area, and areas like that are on the inner core of that donut. And how this is relevant is because whatever this planetary shift that's occurring is causing some sort of potentially cataclysmic event to Earth that we will be able to experience in some way, or are experiencing in some way, that's gonna, it kind of feels like it's gonna worsen, as far as like how we, it's like the after effects, or like just the effects in general. And I'm seeing it from up until like October 19th or 23rd, something like that. And what it's really doing to, it would be like this. I'm in the United States, you're in Africa, and Africa ends up suffering like, I don't know, what was I was getting like, it's not Africa, I don't know if it's Africa, but how do I say it? It's like, I'm just trying to hear what they're saying, because they're basically telling me to just say it instead of making an example. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that they're saying in order to say it. Because it feels more north, so Europe again. But then it feels like right above Europe. So it's like the inner core of the donut. But it's like as if they were to experience some sort of earthquakes or like blackouts, like complete dismantling of that area, flooding, all of this stuff. And because of that, it reverberates, right? Like if you have a massive earthquake, then you can end up having tsunamis on the other side of the world, right? So then we would feel those after effects. So we would feel something like a disturbance in our lives, but it's nothing compared to what this other world is experiencing that is here on Earth. It's just not privy to us. Isn't that wild? That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm feeling. And so, like, why is that important other than us feeling that? Star, 4 Pentacles, 6 of Swords, Tower, where is this? Wands. It feels like a merging of these two worlds, and I'm being drawn back to the vision I had of the video I put out called The Arrival. I would pay attention to people who are going to start making reports as if they've seen like new discoveries, whether it's like UFOs or like lost people or new something, like people just kind of claiming things like that, like an influx of this like otherworldly or like new people, like something like that, you know. Like the example would be that I'm seeing with the 6 of Swords is as if these people are trying to flee from where they are, right? And so they're merging among us. And so there's like a cover-up. Feels like there's a cover-up of this information, or like a dismissal of this information from just regular people. Like let's say that you go out and you're like, listen, I saw Bigfoot. I swear to you, I saw Bigfoot, but like my phone's connectivity gave out. I think there is connected somehow. I swear to you, why did my phone like lose its battery? Why couldn't I open the camera app like when I saw Bigfoot? Like there's something there. Or if people are like, I'm seeing UFOs, and look, and people are denying that those are UFOs. Or if like it becomes publicized that there are UFO findings, right? Like from like officials, if officials are saying we have properly identified that there are not just UFOs but potential extraterrestrials, like there's going to be something coming out in this month up until the 19th, 23rd of things that the information is going to be mixed, because it's how people are interpreting what they see and in interpreting what they believe. Like it's all going to be kind of confusing, not necessarily chaotic, because it's just going to be small dispersals of information. But it feels like the people who are in the know are fully aware of like the bigger picture, the bigger story of like what happened to cause this, like the scattering of these other people or aliens or entities, you know. I guess technically if it was like uncharted territory that exists in Earth, then they're kind of aliens in some way. They're alien to us. But I think there's going to be a lot of people who are not accepting of this information. There's going to be a lot of non-believers. Just a lot of people in denial, or like looking at it in some sort of, it feels like a really negative way and a really heavy way. Like it feels very, very heavy. It's kind of like when you hear the truth of something and you don't, like you just kind of dismiss it because you don't want to accept it. So you're just like, I'm not going to believe it. I don't care what you say. Like, I don't care what proof you have. I'm just not going to believe it because I don't want to believe that. There's also, I'm just connecting back to Spain, because what it feels like is what we're experiencing or going to experience is this feeling of release, like energetic release. And so it's the clashing of energies, and this connects back to the video that I also posted called When Two Energies Collide, or When Energies Collide. And I'm seeing how it's connecting towards like how your inner world can often reflect the external world, and how your external world can reflect the external environment, like what the interconnectedness of everything. And so what's happening in the external environment for everyone can be an inner reflection of what's going on in your perceived reality. And so, you know, like, you get what I'm saying. So there's this collision of energies, and then that dispersal, that release, and it feels like little fragments, little kind of like fireworks, little sparkles here and there. And again, I feel very pulled down, like weighed down by Spain, and it brings me back to that. It's like a zoomed in version of brick. And it bring the brick that I talked, it's not brick, it's stone. Like the stone buildings in the UK where bombings had occurred, and it took chunks out of the stone, and it just feels weighed down. It feels very heavy. So I don't know exactly what this means. I don't know if it necessarily means like it's trying to connect me to some sort of like war or famine, or like something to do with wars. I'm associating famine too, because there's usually those seem to connect a lot. So or if it's like that heaviness of something from above, like if it was like a meteorite, or some sort of volcano or something, like something heavy. It feels very, very heavy in Spain, around Spain. It's like concentrated energy in that area, but it feels so heavy, extremely heavy. Here's the Four of Pentacles again. It just feels like almost like an energy vortex in Spain. Like people, it feels like being sucked in, which is like a strange, or maybe it could be like, again, like earthquakes or something, you know, because you're kind of at the beckoning of an earthquake. Like you kind of, really powerful earthquakes will like knock you to your feet, right? So it's kind of like, or like the sinkholes or, you know, like something intense. Maybe not necessarily sinkholes, but it just feels like bound to the earth, or like stuck. Something like that. Or just like, again, like heavy, like something heavy on top, like layered on top. Again, so maybe if it's a volcano, then it's like, see, maybe I'm just, see, it kind of, these both kind of look like volcanoes to me, if you were thinking that, like I am, because see how it bubbles up here and the fire here. It's something like just heaviness, like a blanket of heaviness, and being pulled down. It feels like people have to leave, because I noticed that with this, and then it kind of repeats for me here. It's like they have to leave, but sometimes they can't. Something like that. Or like they've left already. From like a mountainous area. Oop. Hanged Man. I don't know, it feels like a lot of mental heaviness, and I don't know. What do you guys think? It feels like it's going to really test the resolve of a lot of people. And there's this feeling that I get of like being like stuck, like literally being stuck to people. Like even in the Two of Cups, it feels like they're stuck together, and I feel this feeling of heaviness. Like here, it just feels like you're like stuck to the earth and stuck to other people. It's a very strange feeling. It's like heaviness and stuck. Like not just stuck in where you are, but like something like that. So that's kind of what I see for the month of October. It's kind of this interesting vision, I guess, that I'm getting, or information that I'm getting. I mean, I wouldn't take it at face value, I guess. I'm not sure. Like if I were in Spain, or if I were in Europe, or somewhere on the Pacific coast, I would just be wary of just like energies or like earthquakes or anything. Like kind of just beware of that kind of stuff. Or it kind of just feels like there's not much you can do to prepare to control the situation. Just kind of be aware. I don't know, let's see. Probably shouldn't be so aggressive with this deck since it's kind of older. The Emperor. The way that I see the Emperor is like every man out for himself. It's like take care of yourself. Do what you can to prepare. Like don't, like the way that I'm seeing is kind of like this alpha male feeling. And what I mean by that is like you don't care what other people think or say, or if it makes sense to anybody else. You're gonna do what you want to do, how you want to do it. You're not comparing yourself to other people, you know, and like, oh, what are you doing? How are you acting? Oh, and like kind of like basing your actions on other people's behaviors. You're taking control and responsibility over your life and your intuition, and you're following that. So if you feel like you have to unburden yourself of things or people and get out of wherever you're at, like if you're on an island where there's a volcano, like for example, or you're just like in some area that you feel, and they're pointing me back. I really don't want to use this example right now because it's not the time, but this is the example that they're giving me, is like, and I don't mean this in any kind of way, but this is just the example they're giving me, is like with what happened here in Florida, and the Carolinas, is, you know, they waited for, first of all, where the hurricane hit, they expected it, like experts expected it to downgrade to a 1. And while that is still a very dangerous storm, it was supposed to hit several hours from where it originally hit, and it was much more powerful. And on top of that, the reason why people were starting to get kind of nervous because it was supposed to hit an area that the infrastructure, like they had not experienced that kind of storm in quite some time. And elevation and all of that, you know, obviously there's going to be some issues with that. And so it wasn't until kind of last minute for a lot of people, the evacuation orders were set out. So whether you had time or not, doesn't really matter. But you know, if you felt something, like I just felt like I wanted to leave well before evacuation orders were even set, right? Like when they were still saying that it was going to hit at a 1 many days later, which that's another thing, is like it hit earlier and stronger because it ended up coming to shore sooner than expected. So it wouldn't have really made sense if you were listening to officials and if you were listening to the locals. It wouldn't have made sense to just start packing up and leaving unless you just kind of felt like you wanted to, you needed to, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm seeing here is like if you feel that way, and this is not to say like just kind of, I mean, it's okay sometimes to jump into like practice following your worries and your concerns so that you can kind of judge whether or not, like you can discern better whether it's your fears or your concerns and whether it's like okay to do, like you're not overreacting in some ways. I don't know. I don't really want to get too into that, but that's basically what I'm seeing is like follow what, like you be the leader of your life, take responsibility for your life. Don't wait for someone else to tell you just because they are experts or whatever in their field. Like sometimes you just don't expect it, or you can't expect it. And everyone has their own prerogatives, right, as far as like what their duty is, what their responsibility is. And that's kind of another example that I'm being pulled to of like, you know, with the governors and everything, like they also have a duty to keep commerce running. And so you can't just suspend everything just because you know, you have to listen to other experts and figure out what's best for the entire state or areas. And then, you know, people on YouTube who are saying it's going to be the worst storm of the world, which I don't think anyone was saying. I don't know. I don't think anyone was, but you know, they're doing it for sensationalism to get views or whatever. And so really try and listen to you. You know, like the 5 of Wands, Ace of Cups, it's like you will be much more satisfied when you don't kind of give in to those like petty arguments or petty thoughts as far as like what everyone else is doing and go for, because I just feel like this is a big sign for those of you that for everyone actually it feels more general, but it's better to practice this, is like you don't regret it. Like you don't want to regret it. You don't want to be in a situation where you wish that you had risen above the judgments, right? The potential judgments of other people, right? Five of Wands again, just another warning. yeah, that's the biggest thing, is don't get caught off guard. Do your best this month to not get caught off guard. Okay. So that's what's going on with me. That's what's going on in October. So just pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on in the world. I'm just sitting here because I feel like there's something more to say. I don't know what it is. If I figure it out, I will let you guys know. I think this is just, again, like that relief. You will feel very relieved to kind of have prepared. It's kind of the feeling. It's like you will feel relieved to feeling prepared. Like you still have these 2 cups left. Like the things that you leave behind are insignificant to the things that you've preserved. Something like that. Alright. Bye guys. I'll talk to you guys later.